Hi, I'm Chad Wahlquist. I'm an architect here at Palantir. Today, I'm going to have a conversation with a fellow Palantirian. He happens to run our insurance business in the U.S. So thanks for joining me today, Tim.
Thanks, Chad. Happy to be here.
I'd love to hear about your backstory about Palantir. I think it's absolutely fascinating from kind of where you've come to, or from where you've come from to where you've come to. Maybe you could share a little bit.
For sure, yeah. That's kind of you to say. So, I did PhD in physics, funnily enough. So I wanted to be an academic, theoretical physicist, and was in research for a bit. Got a bit frustrated with the kind of a number of things, although I learned a lot, but particularly the kind of lack of direct, immediate impact you have on the world.
Yeah, centuries away from impact there.
You are, yeah, for sure. I then moved into doing kind of data science, building machine learning models for, a number of different clients around the world and in different industries, one of which was insurance, actually. And then I sort of realized that this was about 7 or 8 years ago now, that the kind of issue with that was also the kind of the lack of operational impact. You see a lot of the models I was building, I didn't feel like were really driving any meaningful change for the clients I was working for.
Yep.
And then I found out about Palantir, which obviously has a really strong focus on, driving real impactful change. Yeah. And I've been here now for about 5 or 6 years, and have had a great time.
Most people don't understand that Palantir is a bunch of pods in different businesses. Each one of those is essentially the size of a unicorn startup that's out there. And so you're like the CEO of a unicorn startup for the industry AI in insurance space.
It's quite cool from a sort of personal growth perspective as well, because you get to kind of you get to almost have the experience of all of the problems of, like, how do you kind of motivate and hire people? How do you have the right technology? How do you get clients? How do you keep clients? How do you deliver and execute well? But you have all of the kind of machinery of Palantir behind you. Yeah,
we encourage people to grow and accelerate and drive business, not with the goal that you're going to be here forever always. Like, it's, hey, this is an ongoing thing, and I think that's just evident seeing that we have the highest kind of per capita of employees starting unicorn startups.
I'm really excited about that. I also think I really kind of idealistically believe in, like, Palantir obviously believes in having a really positive impact in the world. I really believe in the kind of the value to the world of insurance being better. Like, in many ways, like Dr. Karp always talks about, the world's getting very risky. Yep. I think, like, the insurance is like the kind of fundamental sort of backstop to make sure that you have the kind of the reserves and the capability to, like, put the world back together and keep the world running when something goes wrong. And I think it's extremely meaningful for the whole world if insurance, like, works better, if it works faster, if it works cheaper. Wow. I think that impact, insurance touches everything. So I think that being better, to say something really idealistic, I think that really aligns with kind of Palantir's mission to sort of increase the resilience of the world, or make the world more sort of risk tolerant.
I guess from your perspective, from like our Palantirian side of operationalizing these workflows, what's your perspective, I guess, maybe on the insurance industry? Because you came in cold and you're like, okay, 5 years ago, I'm going to learn everything about insurance. What's your perspective on, like, what you're seeing as far as the insurance industry, especially with the AI kind of boom coming in?
I feel like we're at the point of the kind of hype cycle now where maybe some people are actually starting to underestimate the impact of AI. I think it's like it's enormously transformative for insurance. So I think there's two things. So the first one is, like, just pure kind of operational efficiency. So it's, that can be several weeks to actually, or even months to come up with a quote. And we're putting things into production now that are reducing that time down to less than a day or hours. Wow. from the time that the insurer receives the documents from the broker to the time they're able to respond with a quote. So that's like and orders of magnitude difference in speed, which is fundamental.
I mean, so it sounds like, okay, we've got these group of experts, and now I'm with AI and human teaming, I'm able to accelerate their throughput.
That's actually a really nice segue into the kind of the second thing that you alluded to already, which is, like, the benefit of the AI being able to provide, reasoning into the process. All of these insurance companies will have underwriting guidelines that are defined by, the chief underwriting officer or some underwriting counsel, and those underwriting guidelines become part of the kind of ontology, the corpus of information that's available to the AI to reason against. So it's you're able to say to the AI, not just which business is this that wants insurance, but does this meet our defined standards for our guidelines for the types of things that we, from a kind of risk and exposure, and also like even an ethical perspective, want to underwrite.
So you're essentially capturing the first principles that they operate on, and now those principles are made available to AI to help reason across, still with humans in the loop. I think that's like so powerful, the interconnection of all those, like powered by the ontology, like orchestrating all that. I think that's just so cool. I'm sure there's a lot of our competitors and other companies coming in kind of trying to do this in a similar space. Be curious, are we seeing a lot of kind of failure modes and then they move on, and is that where we're engaging? Or I guess, what are you seeing from the broader landscape as far as people trying to solve this from a technology perspective?
There's definitely a prize here, right? Because this is a golden problem. So there's a lot of people going after this problem, and there's loads of startups going after this problem. I think you're absolutely right that, specifically in insurance is obviously, highly regulated industry. The information that's coming in these processes is extremely sensitive. Insurance companies, to get these things to work properly, are going to have to be able to prove to the regulator that these things are, well governed, auditable, transparent, reproducible. They're going to have lineage into the information that drove a decision. I'm not a lawyer, but you do have to be able to prove all these things to the regulator. So I think that's a really fundamental kind of reason why people tend to go with Palantir for this type of thing in insurance.
But also, I love what does forward deployed means? Like, we're bringing the product team to the edge, building the product that matters to the customer at that point in time. I think that's such a big differentiator for us that, like, until you see it, it's hard to believe that we actually have the product team working with a customer on the ground. That's pretty unique. I think
it is a pretty like unique approach. It has been incredibly powerful. I think the thing that is really hard for our customers, which is why, to go back to what you were saying earlier, the kind of boot camps and things are so important, is all of those logos and things in their tech stack and those specific software providers. Everyone is saying now that they are an AI platform. So it is quite hard to it's quite hard for like new customers to actually differentiate like what actually works and what doesn't. And I think that's also the other kind of critical reason for the sort of forward deployed approach is like, proving it by doing it. Yep. So like, it's easy to hook up a kind of API call to GPT and pretend that you are, but it's hard to actually be accountable to the outcome and deliver the real like fully orchestrated end-to-end outcome. And that's what we do. Yeah, in a safe and secure and scalable way. So all this is like fun and it's awesome, and there's some really cool stuff going on. And I think, like, what would you tell someone that's interested in coming and work at Palantir? I think that's the thing that keeps me here is that I just have the ability to, and the freedom, and also the leverage with the product and all the people around me to actually go and actually truly deliver the outcome. Yeah. I think the other thing I'd say is like, which would be motivating to the right type of person and demotivating to the right type of person as well, is like, it's cool. It's really great to be in an environment where you always feel like the dumbest person. So like, I feel like everyone at Palantir is smarter than me, I think. And I feel like every meeting I'm in, I'm sort of humbled all the time. So it's like, it's very cool to get to work with people like that, where you're just continually sort of forced to kind of raise your own bar because everyone else is so incredibly impressive. The other obvious truism, which I think is worth saying, is that like it's always been impressive to me at Palantir how much we are willing to kind of push people to the front of a problem, immediately. So like, if you want to come and if anyone wants to come work on insurance, you could, these problems you can come and own from minute one. I mean, there's no kind of there's no levels or kind of training plan or kind of stages of hierarchy or titles that you have to move through in order to get access to the cool thing. Once you're here, you can do the cool thing from the beginning. And that's always been the thing that's really impressed me. Well, thanks for joining us today. And thanks, Tim, for coming all the way to Arkansas to have the conversation. Really enjoyed learning all sorts of stuff about AI and insurance. Yeah, I mean, no, thanks for having me. And thanks for giving me the opportunity to come to Arkansas. Now we'll have some barbecue. We will, yeah.